Welcome back to Module 4 in our series on building decarbonization. As ASHRAE members, we all play a critical role in helping to decarbonize the built environment over the next 3 decades. We can be a conduit for responsible engineering solutions that lead this change. Hello, I am Kent Peterson, and I will be your narrator for this module. This presentation series is presented in 4 modules. Our previous modules provided an overview of decarbonization, application terminology, and an overview of the global and embodied carbon issues. The last module focused on ASHRAE's involvement in building decarbonization. This final module will discuss a pathway to building decarbonization, discuss emerging issues and opportunities, and how you can help. ASHRAE does have some high-level guidance when faced with decarbonization decisions. We always want to maintain health and comfort when implementing decarbonization strategies. We should also seek to understand the full greenhouse gas emission impact of the decisions we recommend for reducing greenhouse gas emissions in both new construction and existing building retrofits. The following building decarbonization measures can help guide decision-making. Let's start with the building envelope. For operational carbon, we need to optimize building orientation and geometry to reduce energy use and maximize solar potential. This lowers the required energy to heat and cool and requires smaller electrified systems, lowering the embodied carbon in both the mechanical and electrical systems. I can't overemphasize the importance of energy efficiency measures. This improves the economics of the other decarbonization measures. This could include using a mix of passive design, efficient heat pumps, and district energy systems. Other important energy efficiency upgrades include measurement tools to provide insight into energy use and software to optimize energy use. We should never forget that healthy indoor environments must be maintained or improved while we implement efficiency measures. Utilizing waste energy from buildings will become much more important. Heating loads in many new buildings are dominated by ventilation, providing an opportunity to use heat recovery. Waste heat recovery is also more cost-effective when comparing against electric heating systems. Air-to-water heat pumps are still roughly 6 times the initial cost of a condensing boiler. These economics change all of our previous knowledge about what might be cost-effective in a given climate zone as we decarbonize. Current waste energy streams that can be utilized include chillers to atmosphere, exhaust air to atmosphere, and sanitary sewer. Utilizing this energy with heat pumps or heat recovery chillers to heat spaces and domestic hot water can improve building efficiency and reduce carbon emissions. As we reviewed in a previous module, embodied carbon must be reduced. There are great resources in the marketplace. Rocky Mountain Institute's Reducing Embodied Carbon in Buildings, Low-Cost, High-Value Opportunities is one such resource on how to significantly reduce embodied carbon and building superstructures at little to no upfront cost. Current practices indicate that we can achieve these reductions by specifying and substituting material alternatives with lower embodied carbon during the design and specification process. This will require information, typically in the form of environmental product declarations or EPDs from manufacturers to understand the embodied carbon of their products. Renovating an existing building versus tearing it down and building new can save 50 to 75% of the upfront embodied carbon. MEP 2040 also has excellent resources relative to reducing embodied carbon in mechanical, electrical, and plumbing systems. Electrification can help decarbonize the building sector if the power sector can also decarbonize. Heat pumps are an option for replacing oil or natural gas-based space heating and surface water heating systems with those utilizing efficient electricity. Because they use electricity, their greenhouse gas impact depends on the carbon intensity of the grid and the efficiency of the electric heating solution. In the International Energy Agency Net Zero Emissions by 2050 scenario, the installed heat pump stock needs to triple worldwide by the year 2030. Refrigerant leakage emissions are embodied carbon emissions under the whole life carbon framework. We can reduce emissions by managing leaks within buildings and adequately disposing of refrigerants. Ultimately, these fluorinated gases can be replaced with lower GWP alternatives. Several states now have regulations on using low GWP refrigerants with various goals to be below either 750 GWP or 150 GWP, depending on the size of the systems. In summary, we can reduce refrigerant emissions with low GWP refrigerants, enhanced energy efficiency, innovative non-refrigerant technologies to reduce and lower the refrigerant volumes that are going to be required in our cooling systems, regular maintenance and leak prevention, and good refrigeration management and recycling. Demand-side management will be critical in our buildings as more non-dispatchable renewable energy resources are added to our electric grids. Control systems integrated into buildings can help coordinate supply and demand and shift energy use to different times of the day. Demand-side management systems can help save costs by optimizing use for when and where it is most needed. Still, they can also drive decarbonization by shifting energy use to times of the day when zero carbon energy is highest in the grid mix. Buildings also have an inherent ability to store heat, which is called thermal mass, and technologies are emerging that can take advantage of this property to balance out heating and cooling to lower costs and shift power demand away from the peak periods. As mentioned in our last module, the ASHRAE Grid Interactive Buildings for Decarbonization Design and Operation Resource Guide has recently been published and is available and provides information on maximizing carbon reduction through the building's interaction with the electric power grid. Rounding out our short list of 8 key measures is carbon-free energy. As I stated in earlier modules, our buildings will need to move towards the availability of 24/7 carbon-free energy. Most of this would come from on-site and off-site renewable energy or zero-carbon energy from the electric grid. Green hydrogen may also be required in some instances. This last measure may be one of the most challenging items, since the solution will also need to provide reliable and affordable energy worldwide. I will conclude this module by discussing some of the emerging issues and opportunities that are before us as we decarbonize the built environment. Scalability of solutions will be critical to tackling the sheer number of existing buildings that need to be retrofitted. We can only afford some buildings to be science projects. This year, there have been some exciting developments in taking large portfolios of buildings and prioritizing what investments provide the best return while making substantial reductions in carbon emissions. Electric grids will experience increased demand from electrifying heating loads and transportation. Our current grid peaks in the summer, but when we convert our fossil fuel to electricity, it will peak in the winter. The coefficient of performance of the heating will determine how high we peak. Electrifying our transportation will put an additional burden on the aging electrical infrastructure. Cold climates have some additional challenges for heat pumps that we don't worry about in milder climates. For instance, Chicago has a 99.6% winter design temperature of 2 degrees Fahrenheit, but the 50-year extreme temperature is minus 23 degrees Fahrenheit, providing unique challenges for heat pump systems that are provided with air source. Finally, existing buildings have many challenges we do not experience in new building design. Electrification without energy efficiency will seldom pencil out economically. We also need to understand the annual heating load profiles before deciding on electrification. Lastly, money and economics matter. This is a green resource that is limited. We will only be able to decarbonize existing buildings and large facilities if the financial investments make sense for the building owners. We should strive to understand existing building annual heating load profiles before replacing boilers with electric alternatives. This example shows a 60-year-old building in a mild climate. 2 years of trend data show that the existing heating system was oversized. This is fairly common within our industry. 80% of the annual heating therms occur when the load is 25% or less of the installed capacity. If the system were sized for the actual peak load experienced, 80% of the annual heating therms would occur when the load is 42% or less. If we are concerned about whole life carbon, there will need to be more operational carbon savings in the lifetime of the equipment to electrify more than 30% of the design load if there is still life left in the existing boilers. The incremental embodied carbon investment for the additional electrification simply doesn't make sense when we get out beyond 50% load in this scenario. We must understand existing building heating load annual profiles to decide how to optimally decarbonize existing hot water systems. Just a few higher level opportunities we have before us. We have an opportunity for equipment and system innovation in our future mechanical systems, how to improve efficiency and lower embodied carbon from our systems. How can we advance our heat pump technology to handle retrofits and cold climate challenges better? We've struggled as an industry to maintain great energy performance in buildings 5 years after they are commissioned. Advanced controls using AI technology will need to advance to allow buildings to maintain their high performance. This will be critical as more buildings will fall under building performance standards. Integrated solutions provide much better financial results. As we indicated, prioritization of measures can make a huge difference in the ultimate solution set. Energy efficiency before electrification typically lowers embodied carbon, results in smaller equipment, and lowers the electrical requirements. We can provide better design tools to help designers balance these solution sets. Everything we've learned in our careers about what solutions make economic sense in different climate zones is changing as we look at some of our electrification solutions. There's a real opportunity to take advantage of more energy storage. This could be thermal storage in our mechanical system or building phase change materials. This will help us shift energy that is now wasted to be used in the times of day when it is actually needed. This is a more cost-effective strategy than battery storage and can result in less embodied energy. Battery storage adds considerable embodied energy. Lastly, many incentives are available for energy efficiency, heat pumps, and renewable energy, including tax and utility rebates. We, as ASHRAE members, can contribute to this effort. Take the time to learn how to reduce greenhouse gas emissions in our building systems. Share that knowledge with others as we strive to improve our building systems. ASHRAE is here to help all of us on this journey. Our design, manufacturing, and building construction decisions substantially impact greenhouse gas emissions. We do not have all the answers today. We are on a journey to decarbonization. This will involve steps in the right direction. We must better understand the complex social, economic, geopolitical, and energy security concerns surrounding building decarbonization. We need much more innovation in the building and energy supply sectors to achieve the optimum solutions. We all have a critical role in helping to decarbonize the built environment. ASHRAE believes now is the time to act. Please consider joining us on our journey to zero. This concludes the final module. Thank you for watching.